Playing by the Rules. That's what's coming up on the Art of Bombing, episode 157.
My friend Dan, he's got a podcast, 'cause all comics need a podcast, and nobody had a podcast called The Art of Bombing. So Dan went out and bought a tape deck. Who knows why he bought a tape deck? Podcasts don't get played on tape decks, but Dan is from the 80s. So hey there, all you funny jerks, come talk to Dan about your work. Tell him all about your worst times. It's The Art of Bombing.
Welcome to a brand new episode of The Art of Bombing. Dan Bublitz Jr. here with you on Tuesday, September 1st. That's right, it is the first day of September, and it is also the first day of me being unemployed. That's right, I separated from my job officially yesterday. They did some reorganization, and my position was eliminated. And now I'm just going to take a little bit of time off to concentrate on some other projects before I look for another side gig or another day gig. And speaking of projects that I'm working on during the downtime, obviously I'll be doing the podcast as always. That's not going anywhere. But I've got some actual live stand-up comedy dates coming up because I got to get ready for the old Dry Bar comedy special taping in October. But before we get to that, real quick, today on the show, a very fun conversation with a good friend of mine, Justin Foster. We had a fun conversation. That's what's going to be coming up on the show today. We talked about a lot of stuff. He told a story about bombing at a corporate gig, and we talked about not being honest with ourselves as comedians, and being set up for failure at shows. Those are just some of the things that we talked about. So that's what's going to be coming up on the show. Now, live shows where you can see me do stand-up comedy. I know there's not a lot, but if you are in Sioux City, Iowa, I will be in Sioux City, Iowa, September 18th at Marty's Tap at 8 p.m., getting ready for the Dry Bar special. Then, Saturday, September 9th, I will be in Sioux Falls, South Dakota at Boss's Comedy Club in the new location at the hotel. So if you want to see me live and you're in any of those areas, or maybe you know people in those areas, you should tell them to come see me live as I get ready for the Dry Bar comedy taping. It should be a good time. It'll be good to do some live stand-up comedy. Haven't did that for a little while, but one thing I did do, I know a lot of people we've had a lot of downtime, and comedians are struggling to find things to do and keep busy, and I know we got a lot of the online shows and stuff, and I've been doing some of those, and those have been real fun. But one thing I've been doing is I reorganized all the audio that I could find of my stand-up clips, and I'm going to start listening to them, and I'm looking for some old material that might be worth renewing and doing some stuff with that. So that's something, if you haven't done already, you could start listening to some of your old stuff, and maybe you'll find a gem or two. Who knows? All right, now, before we get in this great conversation with Justin, I should mention, if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, and it would be great if you would leave a 5-star rating and maybe a nice review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to this podcast. It would be greatly appreciated if you could do that for us. Of course, we got the website, artofbombingpod.com, where you can listen to all the previous episodes, and all episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, you can find the Art of Bombing podcast. Make sure to tell a friend about it. That's how you can really help, is tell somebody about it. Another comedian that you might know that might find some useful information. I feel like there's always some useful information and some hindsight in every episode, and not every episode is the same. It's all different. So that's what's great when you have conversations with so many different comedians from so many different places and so many different walks of life. So all right, that's enough of the jibber jabber. Let's get into this conversation with my good friend Justin Foster. Enjoy.
Sober, I don't drink alcohol anymore, so I got a sober day. That's a nightmare. Oh, I know, right? You're a drinker, you just go to a bar and see what happens. I gotta plan activities and shit. You ever see those eHarmony commercials where the couple's like kayaking and horseback riding? Like, who does that? Sober people, that's who does that. I got a blueberry pick and shit, it's a nightmare. Because if you're a drinker and you wake up with a basket of blueberries, like, oh man, last night was awesome. Me, I'm like, oh, I guess I got breakfast. I don't like how every time I try to get a meal, the new hip thing is to just soak everything in alcohol. It drives me insane. That's to just douse everything with Grand Marnier. I can't even get a meal as a sober person. I go to a restaurant like, this is a beer battered burger soaked in whiskey. Here's scrambled eggs from chickens who only drank Kahlua. I went out to eat the other day. I swear to God, they had a thing called a beer can chicken. Do you guys know what that is? Have you guys? Yeah. It's when they take a beer can and shove it in a chicken's ass. I'm like, a beer can in the ass? That's the reason I stopped drinking the first time. It was a tall boy, and you can clap for that. The beer was big too.
How have you been?
Oh man, just really, really bored.
Right? I feel that.
It's so weird how like I have all day to do whatever I want and I do nothing all day. It's insane to me. It's like I just woke up. Why? How's it already like time for bed? Like this is crazy.
Right? Yeah, I haven't accomplished anything. I've just been...
I got up at 7:00 today for the first time since March, and I was like, give me the keys to the city. Like I've told like 5 people about it already. Oh, the thing that everyone does all the time. Good for you, Justin.
Yeah, the thing that we do every day in regular life.
Yeah, exactly. Good job.
Where should we send your trophy?
Yeah. Keys to the city, please.
I need them now.
Yeah, but no, I've been good, man.
That's funny.
I've been all right.
That's good.
I've been okay. Yeah, just trying to maintain.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of people right now. I mean, it's been an interesting last few months. And,
I feel guilty. Like I gotta downplay it, but like I'm doing pretty well. Like I'm like,
right.
Mentally, like I'm like, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that's an attitude to have to stay mentally healthy. You know, you got to try to find the positivity in it.
Some people are just unraveling, man.
I know.
Are just, I feel so bad, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. It's like I hate that people are sick and like not working, but like as a comic, like I was like, man, I'm living my dream. Doing
Except for the part where you don't get to go tell jokes.
Well, yeah, I've been streaming them from my bedroom a lot, man. And it's been, it's not the same, but it's been really fun. It's been really nice.
Yeah. Yep. So you've been doing some streaming stuff then?
Yeah, I've been doing like pay what you can Zoom shows, and like just like I did like a whole weekend, like last month where it was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, one show a night at 7 p.m. and just like, I don't know, man. It wasn't like anywhere near to the real thing, but it didn't feel bad either. Like it was kind of kind of cool.
Yeah. I definitely, I'm there with you. I did a few Zoom shows and some online stuff, and you're right. It's not the same as live stand-up comedy, but it's definitely something. That's for sure.
It feels good. People are like appreciative. They're like, oh wow, this is cool. And I feel like the laughs are like genuine, and it kind of scratches that like, and we don't have to go to the airport, which is
right. Don't
nice.
have to travel. Yeah, don't have to.
Yeah,
don't have
3
a.m.
Oh, dude, my dog. Like something happened the other day. I woke up because my dog travels with me, and like I got up at like 3 a.m. for something. Like use the bed. He thought it was time to go to LAX. Like he was just
even your dog's getting a little wound up,
worn out. Yeah, he's like, where are we going? What Midwest town are we heading to right now?
We finally get to go? Yes.
Yeah. I was like, no, we're just peeing.
That's funny. Have you booked any live stuff or even tried?
I've turned a bunch of things down, to be honest.
Have
with
you?
Yeah. Just I don't know, man. Like I just had a few friends who got the COVID thing, and they were like, man, if you could avoid you're probably not going to die, but it's like, if you could avoid it, like, just, you know what I mean? So I really took it seriously, having talked to some friends, and I got a friend who's a doctor, and I was like, I'll just chill for a while. Like, I'm okay for right now, and like traveling, going to the airport, and Ubers, and being in the club, and a lot of the places, like, you know, it's like California. I feel okay with everyone wearing masks and social distancing. I don't know about, you know, other places in the world and stuff, or other in the country. So yeah, I kind of just like I'll wait for a little bit.
Yeah,
you know, as much as it hurts.
Yeah, well, it's just better to be safe than sorry. I've went to a few shows and I'm like, I dodged a bullet. I didn't get it, so that's good. But you know, it's like, but how many times? You know, it's like playing Russian roulette. It's like, how many times are the gun not going to go off before it does? But.
Yeah, and I got some friends that are doing it, and I know the clubs are taking it really seriously. And I think getting to the club, like, I would feel super safe. Yeah, to me, it's like the Ubers and the airports and in the layovers and eating out. And I don't know. It's just like, it's just so much anxiety to do the thing that I love. I want the thing that I love to be as like stress. It's already stressful enough. Like, I don't need to add, you know.
Oh, absolutely. I totally get it. I need to start booking some stuff only because I got to get ready for a taping now. So.
Oh yeah, what are you taping? Were you?
Dry Bar.
Oh, congratulations!
So yeah, thank you. I was actually scheduled to tape in April, and then everything happened, and it got postponed, and they started scheduling for the fall now. I mean, anything can happen; it could still get postponed again, but
right.
So that'll be in October. Yep.
Nice.
To Provo. Yep.
Cool.
And I'm thinking about. And I guess I didn't even think about, this is another good reason for, I was thinking about driving, and not because of COVID, just because it would save me some money, just, you know, but then now thinking about it is like, actually, that's probably a better idea to drive anyway, because then I'm definitely, you know, I'm away from other people, you know, I only have to get out for, you know, gas, that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah. I'm also on the spectrum of like, I wouldn't say full-blown germaphobe, but I do have a lot of anxiety when it comes to things like that. Dude, if you don't have any anxiety, like, dude, flights right now are like $8. Like, it's
I know.
Insane to me, like, what you can get to travel, right? And I got a lot of buddies who are just like, they're not like me, and they're just taking advantage of it, and they're going everywhere. And I know the airplane itself is pretty safe, you know, like with the ventilation system and stuff. But yeah, I know that flights right now are like, I was just looking just to see, they're like dirt cheap. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it would be the time. But then, you know, like I said, you got that it's the added risk. Yeah, they're cheap, but what are you going to really pay for it in the long run?
Who are you sitting next to for 4 hours? God. Yeah. I mean, I'm a little cuckoo bananas anyways. So like, you add a pandemic to it. I'm just like, I'm going to stay in my bunker until 2022. So don't listen to me. I don't know.
Hey, I don't blame you. No, that's the nice thing though about technology, you know, and you can tell, you know, there's a lot of comics, and I've talked about it on the show before, but there's a lot of comics that just don't know what to do, you know, and then there's comics that are like, well, I guess it's time to evolve, you know, so it's time to do virtual comedy. And even though it's not the same, it's something. And, you know, it is a different platform and outlet, but, you know, and because of that, you have to kind of change how you deliver your material and how you do comedy. Yeah. But you're still doing comedy.
Yeah, exactly. And, and there's other stuff that people can be doing. Like, I just took a script writing class online, which is like really beneficial. And I know like, people are doing sketches and podcasts. Yeah, there's stuff to be done, you know. Or dude, I know some comics who are like pretty established that they're not doing nothing and they're loving it. So like, whatever you want to do, man.
Yeah,
it's your pandemic.
If I was well to do and I didn't need to worry about it, man, it'd be a different story.
Like, are you doing Zoom shows? Are you doing any virtual? Like, nah.
I'm like, hell no. You know what I did today? I got up and went out on my deck.
Yeah,
and that's
just
it.
chilling.
That was my day.
Yeah, no doubt, right? Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I've been doing like some acting stuff online, some script writing stuff online, and just trying to patch like this like 9-week meditation course online. So I've been like trying to do something like positive during all this. So we'll see.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's everything, every little thing you can do is still good. I mean, to better yourself.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
'cause this is really a good time for people to take advantage of stuff like that, and do other projects and things that, it's easy to, like, when you're doing comedy, especially when you're on the road a lot, especially for somebody like you who works the road quite a bit and does a lot, you're always on the road. Downtime like this, you might have other projects, but then when you're home, you're just like, I need to just rest for a day or two before I go back on the road. And so those other projects just get neglected.
Never get done.
And now it's like, well, now you have all the free time, so you can get as much as you want done.
Yeah, so true, so true. Like all the books that like haven't been read, and all the like even writing material. Like I've written more in the pandemic than I have in like the last like 8 years, just because I. Because, I don't know if you're like this. You're like, I'm going to write on the road. I'm going to write in the hotel room. And it's like, that ain't
no. No.
I'm not writing on the plane. I'm not writing in the hotel. I'm like, yeah. So now it's like, there's really no excuses, really.
Yeah.
So.
I definitely feel that. I've actually did some more writing in this time, too. It's funny because people are like, I can't really write. There's no, I'm not experiencing anything, or I've got like writer's block or whatever. And I'm like, man, that's not, I mean, you got plenty of time, and there's like, I don't know what's going on with you, but there's like a whole bunch of stuff going on around you, even though you might not be able to leave. There's definitely material out there.
Yeah, you're right. And that's when you have to get into like the work part of comedy, right? Where you actually like have to do the mathematics stuff and mine material and like plug stuff through and like go back through old stuff and like do the work part of comedy.
Yep. And that's what I've been doing a lot of during this time, is actually going through old stuff, and especially stuff that didn't necessarily work, or I never really pursued it to fine tune it, to get it to work, try it a couple times, didn't really get the response I wanted. And then I just kind of like, I'm not going to work on it anymore. I've been going through and doing a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. Like when you're like not experiencing stuff, so you actually have to like dig a little bit deeper and like, okay, what can I talk about? What's happened in the past? I read an interview with Stephen King, and they were like, it's like you must be inspired all the time to write books. And he was like, inspiration is for children. He goes, I'm a writer. Because I'm a writer, I get up and I write 8 hours a day. I was like, okay, that's fair. I don't know. Like I write one tweet and I'm like, well, I'm done for the week. It's like now you actually have to like do the work and like, all right, what can I talk about?
Yeah. That's funny. Do one tweet, get a couple likes, and you're like, killing it.
I wrote my comedy for the week. Where's my keys to the city, please?
That's
pat me.
Give me that pat on the back.
Yeah.
Give me my medal. Here's the chest, baby.
Yeah. Exactly. But you're right. Yeah. Going back through old material, like stuff that you've abandoned, and be like, okay, how can I change this now? Like now that I'm a better comic and I have more tools and.
Oh yeah, fun, absolutely. Yeah. And especially that, it's amazing how, as you grow as a comedian, how you can, you can look at older material and actually have the ability now to be like, oh, okay, now I know why that wasn't funny then,
right?
And then be able to do something with it.
Yeah, or like I stopped the joke there, and there's like 12 more angles that I missed, and I can go back to. And,
yep.
That all saying like a joke's never done or whatever. So.
Yep. I would agree with that. I'm always, even the stuff that I do on a regular basis, it constantly kind of evolves and changes and tweaks as life changes or whatever.
For sure.
But yeah. No, well, that's good though that you're doing good. I'm glad to hear that. Now that we've talked about some happy stuff, let's dive into the bad stuff. Oof. Talk about this, the art of bombing, and let you tell a story about a time you felt like you bombed or the show was just bad.
Yeah, I sat down to write this out because I was like, I can't. I want to have, and I was like, I know there was one that I could remember, and then I started writing it out, and I remembered. I was like, oh, there's two. There's one. There's two. There's one I want to tell that it wasn't my fault, and then there's one that was just like I just sucked that night or whatever. The one that that wasn't my fault. This is a quick one, but it was like in Texas, like where I started, and I was doing this show, and it was like just in a big banquet hall, you know what I mean? Where it was like huge, and the tables are like way away, and it's like,
and they're round, and
and I had like right, the big round,
big round,
yeah, exactly.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I had to do 20 minutes, and I think I had like 8. And it's back then, like when you weren't honest with people, you're just like, oh yeah, and you just like figure it out, and it's just like, and I was like, oh yeah, I got 20 minutes for sure. And I think like, and you know, when you're not going well, like 20 minutes is like 5 minutes, and then, dude, I was bombing. I was out of material like 5 minutes. I had like 15 to go. Huge banquet area. Like you could still hear like the DJ setting up for whatever event was going on after us. And then I look, and the mayor is there. The mayor, mayor or the governor, I don't remember exactly, but somebody in council was there, and I was like bombing in front of the mayor, which sucked, but I don't care. And I finally I look at a guy, and I was like, all right, I'll just do crowd work. And I look at this guy, I was like, yeah, right, exactly. So I go, what do you do for a living, man? And he just goes, nah.
Oh my God, total shutdown.
He's like, you're not dragging me down with you.
It's like, no room on my lifeboat, buddy.
No, you just keep going.
This is a boat for one.
And then I just gotta go, okay, so. Dude,
God, that's the worst.
I know. I'll never forget that, where he was just like, no, I have a job, I make money, and that's all you need to know.
That's like, even when you're doing good and you try to do crowd work, and if the audience member doesn't want any part of it, it makes the show so awkward. Like you have that awkward moment or whatever,
right.
But it's like 10 times worse when you're bombing and they're like, nope.
Because if they like you, you could poke them a little bit. Like, what do you being a dick? What do you don't want to tell? If they already don't like you, move on. Like, just keep.
Yep.
So
that's funny. That's going to be a hard pass.
Yeah, he was like, nah, I'm good, man. Thanks. But so that was definitely my fault. I shouldn't have said, like when you like don't know that you can say no, or like you don't know that like if you're not getting paid that you like don't have to do the time if it's not going well. Maybe it's like the worst conditions, and you'd be like, oh, I was booked for 20, I got to do 20, and it's like they don't care. I'm not getting paid. Like, just, all right, I'll see you guys later or whatever. It's just not working out. But dude, I muscled through it. It was brutal. And then the next one, I was getting paid for. So like I had to do the time, but it was, do you know Forrest Shaw? He's a great, he opens for Jim Jeffries. He's like, phenomenal.
The name sounds familiar.
He's great. He's done Conan. So he brought me, we did Vegas, and, we did this gig, and it was supposed to be like in this, like side room or whatever, but they ended up like needing that room for something else. And we ended up performing in the lobby of a casino
God.
Above the bar. They built a stage like above the bar. So like below us, people are like mixing drinks, and like blenders are going off, right? Lobby of the casino.
It's bad enough when that stuff happens in the back of the room.
Yeah, in the back.
let alone right below you.
Below you. Like I could reach up and grab a lime from the lime tray. So close. Lobby, bartenders on top of the bar, TV's on, all the games and the races and everything's on. Machines, ding, 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 right? All the slots are going off. Every 7 minutes, the mic cuts out because they have an automated announcement to remind people to get their like ticket for whatever drawing they're doing. So no matter what you're doing, where you're at, mic cut out, automated announcement.
Oh my God.
Okay. background music, whatever's playing in the casino's music's on. The pit boss comes and stands to stage right to make sure that we don't cuss because it's in the lobby of the casino and people are checking in. There's kids there. So now you've got the pit boss here watching you, waiting for you to cuss. TVs are going, bartenders are making drinks, slot machines are going off, music is playing, Mike's cutting out every 7 minutes for the lotto announcement, and I'm booked for 30 and the headliner is booked for 60.
Wow, I couldn't even imagine trying to do 5 minutes in those conditions.
Brutal. It was brutal. So here's the worst part. I had friends that were in Vegas that came to the show. They come to see us, and they're sitting at the bar, and they're trying to watch the show. And the bartenders make them, they have to be gambling to sit at the bar. They have to be playing the machines that are on the bar top, right? Or they can't sit at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've got friends that are in town to see me who are like trying to watch the show, but also like dump money into the table so they don't get kicked off the bar.
Oh, shit.
So they're just trying to watch me. And mind you, they had seen me at the Improv like 6 months before, like headline, sold out crowd. Like it was amazing. Now they're seeing big in the lobby of a casino, and they can't even watch the show without getting reprimanded. They're like, "This is your last. You got to be playing if you want to say this is your last warning."
Oh, comedy,
dude! I am like bomb, like sweating, like if you're bombed so bad, like you just forget your material. Like I don't even know what joke is next. I don't know what joke have I ever written. And you kind of get them on a roll a little bit, and then that announcement, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, we've got a raffle in 30 minutes. Make sure you get your nut. And it's just like brutal. And then, so if you're sitting at the bar, then you can see the show. Everyone else is about a mile away at tables. At one point, I don't remember if it was me or if it was, I think it was Forrest. He was on stage, and the lady goes, "I can't hear you." He was like, "I know, I'm sorry." like we got off stage and the audience was like, they were like tipping us and like trying to buy us street. Like they felt bad. Like it's a bomb when the audience is like, "I'm sorry." Like that was like, we watched because like it was fun for us, but like we felt really bad for you guys.
Wow.
Dude, pouring sweat. It was just the worst. Where some people were listening and then like they would just turn their backs. You know what I mean? Like they were just like, it was just a lost cause for them. Like I know some of them went back to like whatever Midwest town they were from and be like, you'll not believe what we saw this weekend. Oh my God. These poor guys.
Yeah. That sounds about right for a casino though. I mean,
Dude,
a lot of casino shows are pretty horrendous. I mean, there's some good ones, but
yeah, I've done casino shows. I've done like Yoder casino gigs. I've done who's the other one who does them? He's got a room in Prim.
Entertainment Max?
Not Entertainment Max. I think God, I can't remember their name. I don't know if the guy's name is Joe. Anyways, he runs some casinos that I've done that have been good. Comedy time, whatever. And then this was just like, if we had been in that room, if we'd been in like a room where it was quiet and like a door, like maybe like a door, you know what I mean? Something like
they would have put us in a closet with 5 people. Show they would have ever got.
The break room where the servers go to smoke at the restaurant, like anything. Man. Oh, it was a beatdown.
Wow, that sounds pretty brutal. That's always it's funny too how like you know things change last minute of the show, and then especially in a casino when they put you out there because of the swearing and stuff, you have to have somebody just constantly monitoring.
That was the worst part.
They're like just waiting for you to screw up so they can come tackle you.
Yeah, that was the worst part. Like you've literally put me in the worst possible position I can possibly be in, and now. Not only that I got to fight through that, I have eyes staring at me to make sure that I don't say shit.
Yeah.
because there might be a child in a Vegas casino. You know, like,
right?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think that was the worst part. Where she was just like, "Is he gonna say? Am I gonna dock his pay because he says, goddamn or whatever?" I don't know. Like, that was the worst part.
That's like, to me, I mean, I don't know. I've worked for people, and I haven't been affected by it because I'm not particularly a dirty comic anyway, so it isn't ever really affecting me. But I always find that kind of fascinating how you get some contracts and that's in there, as if if you swear they'll dock your pay.
Yeah.
And then I see headliners come in and totally break all them rules, and I'm just like, did they really dock their pay or what?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's all depending on how it goes, right? Like if audience likes it, they're like, "Oh, forget about I don't know." Yeah, if they tell me to be clean, I try to be clean. But yeah, I was doing a casino one time, and I was headlining. I had to do an hour, and I had to be clean, which is fine. Yeah, I'm not particularly dirty either. But the middle act, he did not care. He could not care less, and he was filthy. A murder. They loved him.
Oh man.
Booker hated him. Never had him back. But the audience, he had, and then I bombed for an hour, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to like play by the rules and do the right thing, and I just ate it for like an hour.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that too. It's hard. Like you can, and I feel like that's why, I've always kind of believed that you should let the headliner kind of do whatever they want as far as their decisions, and the host and the opener and the feature should try to be semi-clean, because it's like you can follow dirty with clean, or you can follow clean with dirty, but you can't follow clean with dirty. It's because it puts the audience in a different place, in a different mindset, especially if they enjoy it. If they enjoy the filth, that's what they want the rest of the time. And then it puts the headliner in this position where, they don't have a choice. If they want to do good, they're going to have to be dirty. Yeah. Even if they don't necessarily want to be, or, not do well, you know?
No, and then, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get in them situations like that where you're trying to be professional, because obviously you want to come back, you want to get rebooked. So
yeah,
you got to think about that. Yep.
Yeah, some guys like talking about eating ass for 30 minutes. And I'm like, I bought Pokemon cards, and they're like, okay,
we're done.
This guy's cheesy.
It's funny too, though, talking about your other show that you were talking about how you took the gig before you should have, as far as, and that's a funny thing to me, because almost every comic, I feel like, does that.
Yeah.
And you hear all these stories of why you shouldn't, and they still do it, but then they learn from it. So it's like, it's almost like a necessary evil to take a gig you're not ready for and then just go get grounded and humiliated.
You got to do it. Yeah. You have to do it. Or rise to the occasion. I got a friend of mine. He started booking colleges, and he had like 25 minutes, and he said he wrote for an hour every single day, 7 days a week. So, and then once he started like the college, he like did great and was like dialed it, so it's like you either rise to the occasion or you just sink and try to figure it out. But
that's pretty much it.
That's it.
Most of the time, though, there's not a lot of rising to the occasion.
No. And then the guy who booked you or vouched for you was like, "Dude, your 5 minutes was so good. What happened?" You're like, "Well, because I don't have 20."
I was like, I figured I could do 5 minutes and then just crowd work.
Yeah. But they didn't want to talk to me. That was weird.
I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know what happened. This is their fault.
Oh man, that's another thing too with the comparison of the two stories that you were telling, or the second story we were talking about how you headlined the Improv, sold out show, and then now you're basically performing in a lobby of a casino or whatever. That is so comedy. Like that that says everything anybody needs to know about stand-up comedy. With 1 minute.
Right. With a dude, the headliner who'd been in Vegas like a month before with Jim Jeffries at the Hard Rock Theater.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, dude, it was so humbling. It was so humbling. It's so humbling.
Comedy is real good at humbling people. That's
it
for
is.
sure.
Yeah, that's like, you've been doing it a while. It's like these newer comics where they have a bad set and they like beat themselves up. It's like, you just can't. Like, I worked at the Improv in Dallas. I was a waiter there before I started doing comedy. It's like, when I tell you I've seen everybody bomb, like everybody bombs, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
No matter who you think, they've all done it.
Yep.
They've all done it.
That's like it's part of the process of getting better at comedy. I mean, it is something that's going to happen to everybody. And even I've had a few people on here, that have said that, they try to claim that they've never bombed. And then after we kind of crack open the conversation,
right,
they're like, okay, well, maybe I did. It's more as how they perceive it than anything, but I had one gal tried to tell me she never bombed. And then after we started talking, she was like, oh my God, I actually bomb all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like,
right.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thing too. That's the scary thing when like, comics like, how's it? Oh, it's fucking great. Got killed. And you're like, really? Like, I was in the room, like, okay, all right. Like,
did I hear somebody boo?
Yeah. Sometimes you'll talk to comics and like, I was killing. Like, and you're like, no, I saw the show. Like,
I was there.
Yeah. Like, it's okay. I'll be the first one to tell you when I bomb. And like, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's funny. That's one of the things, like, as soon as I'm off stage, I already know what I did or what I'm like, it's already under my breath. And then somebody be like, how'd it go? I'm like,
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. That show was not for me.
No, I did not do well.
But that's better. Like, that self-awareness of, you're like, okay, what did I do wrong? Like, what can I do? What could I have done better? Sometimes it's just not your fault, right? They say never blame the audience. Sometimes it's just the audience or the conditions. I
was going to say, sometimes, sometimes there are, I don't know, my camera what happened? Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you, yeah.
Okay, that's weird. My camera muted on me.
No worries.
I don't know what's going on.
There you go.
Well, that was weird.
Back.
Just cut out. Anyway, what was I talking about?
We were talking about blaming the audience.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. There's a few instances where I think, if every comic on the show is struggling, it's probably something with the audience. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the times when that people, comics claim it's the audience, it's not necessarily them, but it's the elements of the show. Like you said, the environment and stuff. Because there's some things you can't control. And when you can't control them, everything with your show at the casino is all elements you can't control. They're all elements that work against comedy. To put on a good show. There's absolutely nothing you could have done in that situation except get through your time and get paid.
Get paid, yeah. Like, I even brought people to, like, it's like, it's like I did everything I was supposed to. Like, I showed up, I was early, I was sober, I brought people. Like, that was just out of my. That night was not for me. But yeah, usually if I bomb, I can tell you immediately after the set's over why, like what happened, what I did. Mm-hmm. And usually it's how I open. It's usually in the opening. It's usually in the first minute or so. And a lot of times you can get them back or whatever, but I can always pinpoint it to like something very specific.
Yeah. And that's something I've noticed with me. I can tell too, like with, I don't know, if I try to go up and like try to do something improv-y, like to show that I'm in the room, I was there, I saw something or whatever, and I think of a joke before I go up and I'm like, oh, this is going to kill. And then I go up and I do the joke and I get nothing. And now I'm like, well, shit, this is awkward now, in my head. And I'm like, now I'm going to have to work for this.
It's such a big swing though, because when that lands, like you're good for the rest of the set. You're good. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I usually try to open with something like that. And 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh yeah, like he was in the room, like he's one of us. But that one time when it doesn't, oof. It's,
yeah. I wish I was at that level where 9 times out of 10 it was successful. I'm probably more of a 50-50. My average is low.
I try to be super, like, I don't like try to swing too big on it. Like, just to let them, like, I'll comment on maybe something or whatever. But yeah, it's not too risky where it's like, where you like shit on the comic before you and like,
Yeah.
no, we like that guy. Like we don't know.
Why-
you.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't do that.
That's like one of the biggest mistakes a comic I feel like can make is do it, because they're trying to, like a comic, we think, oh, we're roasting each other and, that's all part of what we do because we're comics. We make fun of each other. Ha, ha, ha. But an audience doesn't see it that way. They're like, oh, that guy was funny and now you're just coming up and being a dick.
Yeah.
It's like, that's, now you're the jerk. You end up looking like a jerk.
You look like a jerk.
That comic does, yeah.
Because they saw that dude for 30 minutes and they liked him, and they were seeing you for 2 seconds. They don't know that you guys rode together.
Yeah, right. They don't know. Yeah. That's a good point.
When someone shits on the host, and it's like, bro, like he may just be the host to you, but like the audience likes it. They've seen him get back and forth 8 times already. Like they like him. They don't know you yet. Just because your name's on the marquee doesn't mean they like you already.
Not to mention the fact that, especially with a host, they may be a regular host at the club, and there may be regular people in the audience that know them,
Right. Or the club's like, he's like the club like vouches for him and has him work every other weekend, and now you like come in and shit and like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah. That's definitely elements of not getting rebooked, unless you're a big draw, obviously.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, go back to since it's the art of bombing, like going back to what you were saying, like working at the comedy club, the Improv, man, like they had like old school people that had been around since the jump, and they were like, oh yeah, dude, we saw Jerry Seinfeld bomb, we saw Mitch Hedberg would bomb all the time. Bill Hicks, they said Bill Hicks would murder for 30 minutes and then walk the room the last half, and it's all these people
I believe that, yeah.
You look up to and you go, oh yeah, we all, so when someone's like, I've never bombed, it's like, well, if Jerry Seinfeld and Bill Hicks and all these other guys have, you probably have. That's funny that I don't know who you're talking about, but that's funny that she like realized it halfway through. She's like, oh wait, I guess I have.
Yeah, well, and it was weird too because, like I said, we sat down, I started the recording, and started kind of talking, and then she's like, "Yeah," I basically got into you got to tell a story about bombing, and she's like, "Well, I don't really bomb," and I was like, "Well, then why do you want to do this podcast? Because you're kind of wasting my time." Like that's how the conversation started. It was really awkward, and I was like, "Well, I'll press this a little bit." But if, nothing comes out, I'm ending this interview, not even going to do it because, it's not what I do for the podcast, so it was like.
It's not called art of killing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not called art of let's promo all your stuff, like that's the other thing. Like a lot of people, they think every podcast is the same where, oh, you're just going to go and talk about whatever and bullshit, It's basically. People hear podcasts, they're like, oh, this is a Joe Rogan experience. Everybody's just going to come on, they're going to talk for a while, have a conversation with you, and then you're going to promote all your stuff or whatever, and it's just going to be a way for you to do media, essentially. And it's like, no, that's not what this is.
and I will say, behind the scenes, as someone who's done Joe Rogan's podcast, very well prepared in a list of topics to talk about.
Oh, no, I'm not. I mean,
you know.
Oh,
you know
okay.
that,
I'm talking from an audience perspective, though. Like a regular person, they hear podcasts and that's all they know. They just compare it to that. Yeah. Just conversation and promoting your stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. A lot of people, because it looks that way, right? It's supposed to look that way, but like even the best, like you really done podcasts before, and they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna wing it," and it's like, all right,
yeah,
like, if Joe Rogan could like do prep work, like we can too. Because
absolutely.
I used to do a podcast. And I would email like questions and like no, like what do you? And people are like, oh, I didn't really like. I just like show up and talk, and you're like, okay,
about what? Yeah. Well, it's funny because sometimes I'll get messages from people on like Facebook wanting to do the podcast. And I'm like, I can clearly tell that just by the way they approached me, that they probably haven't actually listened to the podcast. And there's some people that have approached me where I can clearly tell they're a fan of the show, and they have a great story about bombing that they want to share. But I had a few people where it's like, yeah, I can clearly tell you think that I'm just going to promote all your stuff. You're going to come up here, talk about all the stuff you got going on, and that's that. And I'm like, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, if you're reaching out to me, the least you can do is listen to the podcast and find out what it's about,
Right. Which is why you booked me, who's got nothing going on and nothing to promote.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to do any promotion. I just want to talk about shitty show. Who can I call? Oh, Justin, he ain't doing nothing.
Yeah. Well, I really thought about it, and I really wanted to do a service to anyone who's out there, any young comedian or anyone who's new, and just really reinforce the fact that no one is above bombing ever at any stage in their career. I mean, God, Jim Jeffries did this story about bombing on his the second to last special, where he talks about bombing in front of Mariah Carey at her house party. Everyone, I don't know if you heard it, it's so funny, but everyone has done it, and it's you can't really judge. You can learn from it, right? But never judge yourself from set to set. Right? It's we've done San Diego, but and it's the first show sucks. You're I'm the worst comic there is. I should quit. And then the second show you kill. You're I'm the best. It's
yep.
You're somewhere in the middle, dude.
Yeah, I'm shooting for consistent. I ain't trying to be the worst, and I ain't trying to be the best. I just want to be consistent.
That guy was good. That's a Steve Martin quote, right? Where he was anyone can accidentally be great. Anyone who's consistently good is
I think that's.
I love that.
It's just let me be consistent, even if I'm not remembered, because sometimes not being remembered, even if you're good, is good, because it's especially when you're bad, you want them to forget you.
You ever bomb so hard you don't stay for the meet and greet after?
Oh yeah, I've definitely.
They don't want to talk to me.
Yeah, yeah. Or instead, I just go out and make it awkward. Sometimes that's amusing to me. Just to be I know nobody's going to talk to me, and I know that I bombed, and this is terrible, and it's going to be hilarious when they leave, because nobody's going to look me directly in the eye,
right? And
they're going to try to be polite and look away and be hey, they're not going to, they might wave awkwardly, and I know what they're thinking. And then, of course, then you get people that will come up and be yeah, you did all right. And, Dan
I did there with a clipboard. What do you think? What happened? Give a second.
That's right. You got time for a quick survey? I'm trying to do some continuous improvement.
Where did I lose you?
Yeah, that's a very important question.
Well, you called the host a twat.
Oh, that's what I did. Okay.
Got it. For sure.
In the future, don't call host a twat.
Who's also the owner. Oh, dude, I was doing crowd work on a guy one time, and I was like, what do you do for a living? I was dude, ripping it for 15 minutes. I was like, what do you do for a living? He goes, I own this place. I was like, got it. Okay. Right.
You're well, that's my time.
Got it.
I won't ever see you again.
Good night.
We're done. But it is funny though when you don't do bad, or when you do bad and you're out, when people are leaving or whatever, because some of the looks that they give you is sympathy, and some of it's just oh my God, how is this guy doing comedy? Just, I don't know. It amuses me sometimes just to see how people interact.
There's always the one guy, every single show, there's always the one guy who will see you and think he's this is his good deed, and he'll walk over to you and shake your hand.
Yep.
I thought you were good, man. I it's thanks, guy. Thanks. Okay.
Yep. It's funny. I just did a show a couple weeks ago, and one of the guys that was at the show ended up being pretty intoxicated afterwards, but he was talking and he basically rated us, and there's three of us. And it's so funny when people do that right in front of you, he goes up to the comic, the one of the comics is I thought me and my girlfriend thought you were the best. I'm standing there, and I don't care because it doesn't matter to me. I'm whatever. I got paid. Right. The show was what it was. There was some elements that made the show harder. But then he looks at me and goes I thought you were the second best though. just
Thanks.
thanks.
Yeah. Cool.
I guess, whatever.
I like when they come up to me and they're like, "You are our third favorite," and I was like, "It was a one-man show," but
yeah, right.
yeah, I was.
They're like, "Oh, you must have had some costume changes."
It sucks when you're on the other end of that though. When you like had a good set and you're standing next to the guy who didn't, and then like, dude, you were so great. And they look at the other guy and they don't say and you're like, oh.
I tell you what, if I do really bad, like I said, sometimes I will go out because it's funny to watch the reactions, but I'll make sure not to be hanging out by the headliner, not to like
good. Yeah.
the people that did good. I'm like, I don't want to try to take away from their good feelings now.
Exactly. I don't want to drag them down.
Yeah, I'm not trying to grab their coattails so I can pull them down to my level.
Right. The what about me guy? You were great. Yeah. And the guy who didn't do good, what about me? They're like, you were up there. We saw you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
What about me guy?
Where was I
that's
recently?
So funny.
Somewhere before COVID, and I was standing next to the host, and this lady came up to her. She's like, "You were so good." I was like, "Thank you." And then like she looked at the host, and he was like, "What about me?" She's like, "You didn't do any jokes." But he did. He was actually like very funny and did like he did some like housekeeping work, but then he did jokes, and all she remembered was like him telling her where the bathrooms were and comment because you didn't do any material.
That's funny. That's also brutal though, because that's like a lot of people don't realize how tough that is as the host. And I still have a hell of a time like trying to figure out how to do the housekeeping.
Yeah.
In a polite, fun way. Mm-hmm. To where it doesn't come off as, oh, you're just a grumpy man giving us rules,
Yeah. It's tough. You know who did it the best was Zach Miller.
Yeah. Yep.
No one can touch that.
True story.
Man, I would die. He would do the same announcement every show, and I would just be in the back dying every single time. But there's
if you want to take your titties out and clap.
Dude, so fun. If you sell crack, and I mean good, not stepped on, good, pure crack, then you can take your phone call.
Yep.
Dude, there's an art to hosting though, man. It's so I lose my shit whenever a host walks on stage. He goes, "What's up, everybody?" So a little bit about me. I'm like, what are you doing? Like a little bit about you.
They don't even know you yet.
The show's, Especially if you've been doing it for a long time and you find out that like 90% of the not 90%, that's a crazy high number, but like I would say like 70% of the audience, a lot of shows don't understand why the headliner doesn't just walk on stage.
Yep.
Well, I was traveling, I traveled with Drew Lynch, and they know him from like YouTube and America's Got Talent and stuff, and they've never been to a comedy show before. And so like I walk on stage and they're like, wait, why? Like, are we at the right show? Like, there's like this weird, like, you got to let them know, like, Drew's here. I'm the opening act. You're like, okay. And then let them relax. Yeah.
That's interesting that you bring that up because do you know Nick Hoff?
Yeah.
Okay, so Nick was talking about that because, he regularly opens and travels with Larry the Cable Guy. And he found that one of the, excuse me, he basically said he had to start opening with that essentially where he would walk out on stage and he'd be like, I bet you guys are wondering who this guy is because he's not the guy you paid to see or something like that. Yep. I'm just paraphrasing.
Exactly.
He had a really good joke to open up with it, but he was talking about that where he had to right up front get that taken care of.
Yeah, you want to kill? Let them know that you're only going to be up there for 20 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Open with that. You're good. Guys, your headliner is here. I'm just doing 20 minutes to warm you up. And they go, oh, okay, all right. Yeah, we like this guy already.
It's not going to be up here very long.
Yeah. But then you walk up there and let me tell you guys about myself. They're going, okay, what's going on right now? And you can tell there's like a weirdness. Yeah. I've definitely done that before.
Yep. No, that's sometimes just being honest with an audience, it'll take you a long ways.
Oh yeah. You guys don't care about me. I don't care about you that much, but
We're here, though. We're all
go.
in this together. Let's do it. You'll either like me or you won't, but either way, in 20 minutes, I'm out of here, and you'll get to see the guy you paid to come see.
I'm done. Which is so funny. Like, you don't go see, like, Guns N' Roses and, like, you're like, why is there an opening band? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah,
like,
right?
Like, it's just, like, but comedy is such a weird
You
thing.
expect it at a concert. You're like, there's got to be at least 2 opening bands before we see the main attraction. You know?
With comedy, they just go, whoa, hold on. What is this?
You weren't on the flyer.
Yeah. So funny. So funny. Or they'll do this. I'd never heard of you before but until tonight, but you were really good. It's like, where would you have? Like, that's like...
right. You're right. I haven't been anywhere.
Right. No offense, but we didn't know who you were. Like, I'm not offended. No, that's...
Not... That's so funny. Oh, man. Before COVID and everything, were you still working with Drew quite a bit?
Dude, my last show with Drew, we were on tour together. We had so much stuff for this year. So this year was going to be so awesome. And the last show I did was with Drew in March. It was like one of the best shows I've done ever. And it was my last show.
Oh, hey, at least your last show was a good show, though.
Dude, it was awesome. It was at the Vic Theater in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And it was sold out. It was like a Sunday night, mezzanine. My phone's about to die. Sorry. Nope. It was it was awesome. It was so cool. And it was like, all right, let's go inside for the rest of the year.
Yeah, pretty much. Because you've been working with him for like a couple of years. So
it's been really fun. We've been traveling together for the last like 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you say your phone's about to die?
Yeah, I can plug it in though if you want to keep chatting. It's no problem.
Okay, because I have a few things that I kind of get into.
Yeah, do you mind not? I hope this isn't unprofessional if you get a walkthrough of my apartment, but
no, that's okay. Because
cool.
I don't use a lot of the video anyway. I haven't had time to do much with video, so it's all good. Yeah, and when I do start doing video, I'm just gonna grab little highlights from each episode. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, it drained it. Whatever this app is, took a lot out. Okay, cool.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. There we go. Let's get with perfect. All right.
There we go. Quick. All right, cool. We'll get wrapped up and do the stuff that I like to talk about. The bumming and bombing. How long does that typically last for you after you bomb, and how has that changed since you've started doing comedy?
Like being bummed out after a bomb?
Yep.
Yeah, It's like I was saying earlier. Like I try to just like let it go. Like if it's a really bad bomb, like I'll sit on it for like maybe like a day or whatever. If there's another show afterwards, it's gone immediately. If it's something where I don't have another show for like a couple of days, it kind of sucks. But again, like I just try to like listen to the tape and like figure out what I did wrong, what I could have changed. It's like my old comedy professor back home was like, there's no such thing as a bad set, you know, like as long as you're learning from it and you're trying something new and you're like, okay, if you're learning from it, like, but yeah, it used to be like, it would wreck me, dude. I would bomb and I would be wrecked for like a week or like the next set. Now it's just like, whatever. It just didn't work out. I mean, I kind of let it go pretty quickly.
Yeah. I feel like that a lot of comedians are like that, you know, the longer you do comedy, the easier it is to let it go.
Yeah. You have to, because it'll just like ruin you. It'll just wreck you if you let it.
Absolutely. How do excuse me, how do you analyze your sets? Like, what do you look for when you're trying to figure out, like, where you lost an audience or that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like what we were saying earlier, like coming up and like getting too personal too fast. I think it's like when we were talking about, like, let me tell you about me, and they don't really know you. That usually like doesn't work great for me. If I open with something, I don't want to call it fluff, but I definitely like try to open with like some just kind of like one-liners, some kind of like, you know, here, let's get him in the mood for comedy and jokes and like let him like, and if I find, normally if I'm having a bad set, it's because I've opened with something like too deep, too personal, too dirty, too aggressive, too opinionated. Whereas if I like ease into that, and then when I finally get to it, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we're ready. You know, like I was saying, my old comedy instructor had us like get colored note cards and organize our set by beginning, middle, and end. And,
okay.
Color coded, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, if those are out of order, if I bring the red to the where the blue should be, it doesn't work because that's like, this is a closing joke. You've earned this. This is, and then I try like, oh, this is one of my best jokes. I'll put it in the beginning. But it's they're not ready for it or whatever. Not that it's like super gross or aggressive, but like, it's just like they don't know me yet. Right. And then I find while analyzing a set, if I've given them enough time to like me and get to know me, then it usually goes a little bit better.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing to do with color coding, to do the beginning, middle, and end. Cause I've heard of another use for color coding, which is, doing, color coding your clean jokes, basically by the rating of the material. Your R-rated material one color, your PG-13 one color, and your squeaky clean another color or whatever, like your jokes. So then you can really see what jokes are. But organizing it like that's interesting.
Exactly. Like a script, like you wouldn't put the third act in the first act. And I find that's usually where I mess up, where it's like if I open like, some people are on dates and you do some fun stuff about dating and, maybe some drinking stuff here. And then you go, okay, I was a mental institution when I was a kid, it's like,
and then they're like, wait, what happened? Yeah. I thought he was fun.
You ever see those comics where it's just like, they walk on stage, they're like, yeah, so I got beaten a lot when I was a kid. And the audience is just like, whoa, like
that was a lot right away. Yep.
Right. Which may be a funny bit and it could work towards the end, but like the placement of it. Yeah. So like you were saying, like going up and saying something like that's like riffy or like improv that doesn't land, we'll lose them. Shitting on the comic before you, like we'll lose them. And then, just like not opening correctly with material.
Yeah. It's amazing how much is relied on the opening too. Like it's easy to forget and not even think about that. You just want to go up and try to get that laugh right away. Yeah. And it's like, it's such an important mechanic of how the whole set's going to go. Cause like you said, it really sets the tone for how the set's going to go.
You're right. It's so important. Like we forget that we walk on stage. They're like looking at our shoes, our shirt. Oh, this guy reminds me. This guy looks like your cousin. Like they're not listening to the first like minute of what we're saying.
Yep.
And then you like get in like this really heady, deep bit, and they're like, okay, wait, what? Where are we? Right? Like what?
Yeah, they like that's wake up.
You watch like Tonight shows or Conan sets, and they're always used. Not always, but they're like. They open with whatever the audience is thinking a lot of the times. Like that really good TV sets, like I look like this, and a lot of people call it hacky, whatever. I don't think it is. It's like, oh yeah, we were thinking that, and
no, that's a very good point too on that. A lot of what, and I guess for, your purist comedians, they would call it hacky, but you're right. It's more like addressing an elephant in the room, essentially.
If like you were on a date, like a first date, you wouldn't immediately like just start talking like really gross, dirty shit at the time. There's some banter and some flirting. I feel like the audience kind of wants that as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good analogy. A couple things, and we'll get wrapped up. Do you have a pre-show ritual or tradition?
What's funny is I like to pray and meditate before every single show.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. No, that's good.
Yeah. It's it's funny to me because it's like anti what I used to be. I used to be a big partier, and so if you would ask me like 8 years ago, I'd be like, 2 Bud Lights and a shot of Jaeger, and now it's like prayer, meditation, and a quiet green room.
Oh, nothing says getting old like that.
Dude, for real.
Oh, that's funny. And then do you have a favorite gig that you've done? What's one of your favorite gigs? I like to end positive.
I think I'm going to go with like the one I was just talking about, that theater gig, the Vic Theater, where like the security guard walked, like we both had our own green rooms with our own showers. I didn't use the shower here, but that type of deal. And like all these really cool bands, like their posters were in the green room, and then like the security guy walks you from the green room with the flashlight to the stage, and like they introduce you, and like it's a theater, and it's just, and the laughs like roll to the balcony. And
was it like was he doing a taping or something, or just
no?
It's just a.
Yeah, I'd done gigs in Erie, Pennsylvania all weekend, and he was like, "I'm doing Chicago on Sunday. Do you want to come?" And it was like a 7-hour drive, so I just like rented a car, me and my dog. Instead of flying out of Erie, we drove to Chicago and did it. It was like, oh my God, man. Like when they introduce you and like, I don't know, like 2,000 people are like yelling. It's like, there's nothing better than that. You forget about all
I'll bet. That's I have not experienced that yet, but someday. There's still time, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I like to do is a fun little thing called pick a number. You're going to pick a number between 1 and 20, and then I'm going to ask you a fun corresponding question.
7.
All right, 7 it is. What song would you have played at your funeral and why?
I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight.
Oh, that would be a fun one to have played at a funeral. Oh, God, I love it. That's such a great answer.
Oh, man. This is really fun. Thank you.
Yeah, and then go ahead. If you got any social media or anything you want to plug, just go. Where can people find you?
Yeah, just Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. It's at Justin Comic. It's Justin Comic. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, and good luck on this special, man. I'm excited to hear how it goes.
Thank you.
The Art of Bombing is a Blitzed Entertainment production. Hosted and produced by Dan Bublitz Jr., The Art of Bombing intro music was written and performed by John Holt. All other music used in this podcast was under the Creative Commons license. If you would like to help The Art of Bombing, you can do so by subscribing, rating, and reviewing our show on whatever podcast application you use to listen to The Art of Bombing. For previous episodes, blogs, and more, visit artofbombingpod.com. Have a great week, and remember, stay safe so you can live to love.